Good evening and welcome once again to the Radical Sim Racing Endurance Round 8, live from Circuit de Barcelona in Catalunya in Spain. I am James Parfitt, going to be here guiding you through all the action with Daan Pepels once again, as you can see him there as well, just over here somewhere. There he is, over there. Somewhere. Joining me this evening. But we are here back in Spain again, 2.905 miles, 4.675 kilometers, 18 turns of what plans to be some absolutely epic action. 10 configurations here in the Circuit de Catalunya since its conception. And we've only running two that they generally run currently at the moment. Now, we've got the Grand Prix circuit, which, as you can see, has got the chicane in it. The motorcycle circuit, which is the other one they run, it doesn't have the chicane. It goes straight round the last corner, all the way round from turn 12 right the way around to turn 14, because obviously we lose two turns in the middle. But I think we can bring Dan into the booth already. As you can see him sitting there waiting patiently. Dan, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, James. Coming back on what you just said about the configurations of the circuit, we also have another one. If I am correct, turn 9, I think it is, or turn 10. It's quite a sharp left-hander now, which, of course, we've seen in the Formula 1, and we see it here on screen, actually, right now. At least I see it. There is a wider version of that turn, a little bit longer, but a little bit more shallow instead of how sharp that one is. So, completely different to what the turn is that we use today. And I like that one actually a little bit more than the one we're using today, James.
Well, the one today provides a lot more action. Basically, it's been very eventful over the last three races we've seen here this weekend. You know, we had the AMs and Pros on Friday and the Americas on Thursday. You know, and I think that corner is very tricky for people to come out from, partly because of the fact that they get over acceleration and spin the back end up. Now, they've got to be careful. One of the things we're not going to be seeing here, I think, this evening is the circuit at the moment. What we're learning from the fact that they're done two races here already is the overtakes are very minimal compared to what we would normally see, and we generally see it down the start-finish straight going into turn 1. But the problem with turn 1 is quite a fast right-hander. You know, we're not going to see hard braking zones, and Catalunya doesn't have hard braking zones, and that's one of the things I think these guys are going to look out for. But why don't we do a quick rundown of last time out in Hockenheim?
Well, last time out in Hockenheim, I have it here right in front of me. I don't know it out of my head, sadly. So, qualifying was pole position for Svein Jung Matheson, followed by a man who is at the moment on top in the championship, which we will get onto in a minute, Rudolf Nagel. And John McCutcheon in third in the race, though. Rudolf Nagel, a quick start and jumped to first, stayed in first, never looked back. In second, John McCutcheon, and in third, one of the other people who's won this season, Daniel Sedgley. Quite an eventful race that was. I think if you haven't seen it, go back and look at it.
Yeah, definitely. There was quite some exciting incidents. Rolliston, Bramer, Waters come together on lap 1 at the Parabolica. Paul LeMay had an issue on lap 1 as well. Kettle Larson locked the rears up going into turn 6. Into turn 2 on lap 6. You know, there was a lot of action going on all the way through that race. So what we'll do is we'll change over to the live screen, and then we can bring you up to date with the championship. So we're going to bring you up with the championship now. As you can see there, the pros are on screen. Rudolf Nagel is leading the way on 440 points. Mike Pousson is second on 368. Daniel Sedgley in third on 358. Kettle Larson on 336. David Walters there from Tiger Team on 283. Jumped above Stephen Place by 1 point, who's on 282. Lucas Dozer in seventh on 246. Dennis Kiriakopoulos on 237. John McCutcheon 225. Paul Crabb 220. Paul Clark is on 193. Teo Sattenherg from Team Slow-Mo 154. Sven Young Matheson on 145. Ivan Bremer, Henning Herg, Manik Eister and Rafael Blanco 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th and 17th respectively. Over in the AMS, what is currently happening with that one? Paul LeMay is in front on 243 points. Damien G in second on 166. David Roddiston on 159. Byron Crawford on 148. Guy Robinson on 137. Gary Truby on 136, only 1 point back there. Michael LeMay on 119. Stefan Mellis on 79. And then we go down into Colin Wynn, Sandra Capella, Graham Brown, Daniele Cascado, Alphonse Ruiz, Nia Gluskic and Marin Grigic. Now in the pro teams, currently at the moment, Team Radline are in first on 700 points, jumping Simracing on 686, Tiger Team on 442, IGL Coatings E-Racing on 336, Team Slow-Mo Black on 230, iLounge Racing on 193, Team Slow-Mo Red on 145, Platinum Racing Team 142, and then we've got Team Mudday and MJX Racing Team at the bottom. In the AMS for the teams, currently, we have Two Brothers Racing leading the way on 362 and Radsport Sim Racing on 302. Mudday obviously haven't got any representatives here with Daniele Cascado still out, I believe, recovering from his shoulder injury on his mountain bike. And Nia Gluskic is just real life, has unfortunately got in the way. Sandra Capella is back on track tonight. That's great to see for Essential Racing Team. Team HRT and MJX Racing Team behind that. But I think we're going to have an exciting one. I'm definitely, don't doubt that. And if anybody doesn't know what the situation is here with this specific series, so they're coming to the end of their 60-minute practice. Then we'll go into 10 minutes of qualifying. Then we will run into a 90-minute race. Right, that is it. 90-minute race plus pit stops. So they have got to make pit stops here as well. The setups are open. Standing starts. There is no safety cars. There's no regulations on the pit stops. They don't have to change tyres, but they are likely to be refueling. That's probably a given. One fail spare and a drive-through on incident limit on every 15 incident points. Now, the schedule itself, we are here at Catalunya today on February the 5th. We go off to the Red Bull Ring. Then on February the 19th, we've got Legacy Silverstone, and then we round out the season at Nordschleife on May the 5th. There are some great racetracks, Dan, left to come up here this evening. As we can see, David Rolleston, torpedo in the barrier there. That's never good. Oh, Kettle Larson spinning as well. Oh, launching that car in the air. What's Stefan Mellis? Is he going to go round or is he going to stay on track for me? Stefan Mellis has stayed on track, so that's always good. But everybody else had excellence I showed there, Dan.
Well, not a good start for the broadcast. Everyone seemingly having bad luck when the camera turns to them. But yeah, Stefan Mellis, at the moment 10th in this practice session, is an AM driver, of course, so 4th in that class. But yeah, it's like the championship is looking tight, at least for second. Of course, Rudolf Nagel, after a couple of good results, is running away with it at the moment. Let's see if anyone in those last 4 rounds can do anything about it. It wouldn't be bad to see someone challenge him for the championship. Of course, in the early stages, he was very, very dominant. But of course, that has come down a little bit. Of course, last round, he won again at Hockenheim. But there are actually, did you know, James, that there are actually only 2 other people that have won other than Rudolf Nagel?
Okay. Go on then. Tell me about it.
You want to know what that is? Yes. Daniel Sedgley won in round 4 and 5, and Lucas Dolzer won in round 6 at Bathurst. All the other rounds, so 4 of the 7 rounds, have been won by the man leading the championship at the moment, Rudolf Nagel. So yeah, he was on a roll, let's say, for the first 3 races. Took pole position for the first 2. Has always been in the top 3 in qualifying. So I think if you want to bet on someone being in the top 3 here in qualifying, you have to bet on Rudolf Nagel.
You definitely do. And Daniele Cascado is actually back on track. So there is Daniele. So hopefully he's recovered well from his shoulder injury after his mountain bike accident. Feel across the pond for the charity stream, James. Is there a way to donate, as I don't have a team? Yes, there is. If you're in the Big Dreams Little Voices Discord, You can basically donate through the donation link there. If you're not, then I will post the Discord link in chat now, and you can get yourself involved in that one. So if you want to, Phil, you can come and join us in the Discord, and there is a Discord link there as well for you. So get yourself involved, bud. And there is the links to the GoFundMe page, Just Giving page as well. So get yourselves involved. I believe we're above, managed to raise so far, we're above the £500 mark already from driver entries and sponsorship, and we're not even live yet. So the broadcast is not even live, and you know, we've raised basically that much from sponsorship and obviously driver entries, so it's going well as well. But there are still spaces available. There's like 15 spaces I think left, so if you do want to join, get yourself involved in that, because you've only got a week before this time next week as well. So it should be a good one. Don't forget, guys, as well, if you've got any of your sons and daughters that want to jump into the booth with me in the Big Dreams Little Voices, they can jump into the Discord as well and sign up as one of the children commentators, because don't forget, it is going to be children in the booth. There is no Dan Pepels, Zach Sweeney, Biggles, or anybody on that full level sitting there with me. It will be children from there. So I know we've got 2 sign-ups, children's. Roger Morton, his young daughter's joined us as well, and Craig Jones, his son, has joined in as well. So if you've got any children that you think could be the next Murray Walker, get them in the booth with me, because that would be absolutely amazing. So we are just keeping an eye here on Rudolf Nagel, currently on his first flying lap. So Rudolf here doing an absolute stellar job. You can enter that solo, Phil, as well. We have opened it up to solo entries. Lucas Dozer has gone on to pole on a 1:48.93. Nagel in second on a 1:41.82. So keep an eye on that one as it goes on, because it's going to, I'm sure the times are going to come down and get quicker. So be aware that they will get quicker here this evening. So stay tuned, because the time's going to be coming in thick and fast. David Rolliston has gone to the top of the timing tower currently at the moment. Stellar job from David Rolliston. Damien G on a 1:43.8 pops it in. John McCutcheon, there he is. William Wallace, we've got John McCutcheon, and he's just gone across the line on a 1:39.976, Dan.
Well, that's a quick lap for John McCutcheon. Of course, we saw the times on Friday as well. They are, I think, going to tumble down a bit. This won't be the pole position lap, but it definitely is a good starter for John McCutcheon.
Definitely, as we go jump on board with Mike Bousson. Paul Clark has had a stellar Sector 1. He's the fastest of all currently at the moment. He's in purple there. Paul Clark. He's green in Sector 2 as well. Paul Clark there from iLoungeRacing.co.uk. Please go and check them out. They are one of the sponsors here, the primary sponsor here this evening as well. They do all simulation rigs. They do everything. They come out, install, make sure you're completely happy with the rig itself before they leave you. So please come and check them out at iLoungeRacing.co.uk, because they will be absolutely stunning. We're actually up there on February the 11th. So if any of the drivers that are in the UK want to get themselves involved, they can come up to the iLounge Racing headquarters, and we are doing a media day up there as well, as we can see Paul Clark go into 4th place. Clark on a 1:40.025, up at the dizzy heights to the top end of the timing tower. Absolutely stellar job from him. John McCutcheon's gone quicker, mind you. David Walters has taken pole on a 1:39.74. John McCutcheon's just about to take it back on a 1:39.49. Times are tumbling here, Dan. Times are tumbling.
Well, like we expected, the times are already really quick. And McCutcheon now on provisional pole position with a 39.4. So times already really, really quick here, James. And, well, for the race, I think, and by the way, like I said, once again, Rudolf Nagel in 3rd. So, again, in the top 3, although on the verge of being knocked out of that top 3 by, of course, Paul Clark. So he's getting close now at the moment, but McCutcheon, of course, a good lap from him. Of course, hopefully, we will maybe see a 38.
Paul Clark again going purple in sector 1, green in sector 2. Clark is doing absolutely stunning. Now, I do know he practices a good few times throughout the week to make sure he is on point for the racing circuit. As I said last Friday, I had the pleasure of meeting him last weekend up at the Autosport International in Birmingham. Such a nice fella, like unbelievably nice. As well. And as I say, we're doing this media day at iLounge Racing on the 11th of February. We're going to take some videos and sit down and do some interviews and stuff like that. So be prepared. If you are coming along, there is a good chance you may get on camera. Clark now goes into fourth, stays in fourth on a 140.0. Walters, 139.474. David Walters, where has this pace come from? Absolutely stunning job from David Walters. Doing an amazing job there as well. Lucas Dozart is all the way down here currently in 8th. In 13th, Stephen's place is going quicker as well. Not suitable racers, I'm still a rookie. Phil, you can get yourself involved. There's no license limits, but we haven't set license limits. You can come along and get in a GT3 round Spa or whatever, or TCR. You may see me tomorrow night driving TCRs around VIR for a league that I was invited to enter as a teammate. I wouldn't mind, but these two guys in the team are literally flying. They're at the top of the timing tower, and there's me down in the lonely, dizzy heights of, well, probably near the bottom. Let's just put it that way. Gary Truby goes into 16th. Tune in tomorrow night, guys, as you will see me driving. I'm going to do my point of view broadcast. It's not going to be like a full professional commentated broadcast because, you know, it'll just be me driving the car. So, yeah, should be fun. Should be a good one. Looking forward to it. And if it's anything like a video I sent down earlier, it's going to be Tokyo Drift style. So that should be fun as well. I'm sure Dan is here.
Yes, I saw the video.
Yes.
And I have to say, if you put the Tokyo Drift theme under it, it could actually look like a proper drift video. Yeah, well, James gave it a good shot. Not the fastest way, I have to inform you, though, to get a TCR car around the circuit of Virginia. So you could look at it, you could reproduce it or try to reproduce it, but it's not the quickest way to go around Virginia in a TCR. So if you want to be quick, I advise you not to do so.
Oh, McCutcheon has got pole at the end. 139.275. Snatched it away from David Walters on the end of the lap. Kettle Larson's coming in, currently sitting in 4th place. Paul Damien G in 5th. David Rollison 6th. Sedgley is 8th. Paul Clark down in 9th now. Just goes to show the times have come down, and unfortunately has not been able to improve. Sandro Capella is at the back on the field. We do have 20 cars on track for me. Now, I did get told that was actually one of the good ways to drive the Audi.
You have to slide it, but I don't think you have to slide it as much as you did, James.
Why? What's wrong with sideways sliding around a corner?
That you're not going forwards. That's what's wrong with it, usually.
I kept it on track, didn't I?
Well, you did, but if you want to be quick, you want to go forwards instead of sideways, do you?
Well, yeah, generally.
So,
right.
Yeah.
The qualifying is up there, Dan, ready for you to deal with. So we'll leave it in your capable hands. There you go.
Well then, John McCutcheon took pole position on a 139.275. For the Tiger team, it's David Walters in 2nd. And for Simracing, Rudolf Nagal once again in the top 3. Hanging on by a thread though, because 8 thousandths behind that, Kettle Larson in P4. Damien G, the first of the AMs, in 5th. 6th, David Rollison, 2nd of the AMs. 7th, Paul LeMay, the 3rd of the AMs. Then essentially 8th. 9th, Paul Clark. 10th, Mike Buson. Dennis Kiriakopoulos in 11th. And Lucas Dolzer in 12th behind him. 13th. James?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Well, I can go over it. We have Stephen Place. Will it work now, is the question. It's not working.
No, it just stopped on me. Well, that's just rude.
Well, I can go over it for you. Stephen Place is in 13th for Team Redline. Michael LeMay in 14th, 15th, Stefan Mellis. Gary Truby in 16th. Daniele Cascaro in P17. 18th, Graham Brown. 19th, Guy Robertson. And 20th, Sandro Capello.
Well, there you go.
There we have it.
I think we have to try it. No, it's still... Oh, my God. Well, there you go, guys. You've had the grid read to you by Daan there as well. Apologies for that, but it didn't want to move on any further, so that was nice. Thanks. Gotta love it. Live TV. But here we go. John McCutcheon is in pole position. How is this going to work on this run down into town? Oh, Kettle Larson jump-started. Kettle Larson jump-started already. He's going to have to go into the pits. But currently it's John McCutcheon out front at the moment. Racing down Rudolph Nagel, Damien G. David Walters got a terrible start off the line and is down. Oh, Kyriakopoulos has gone round. Dennis Kyriakopoulos has gone round, unfortunately. Oh, poor Dennis is dropped all the way to the back of the grid with Lucas Dozer. I was going to say everybody clean there, Dan, but currently not.
Well, John McCutcheon got a really good start. He is still in first at the moment. Dennis Kyriakopoulos and Lucas Dozer not so. Dave Rolliston, though, trying to go around the outside of his teammate. Gets overtaken, though, by Paul LeMay on the outside. He's now going to try and run him to the inside. Here's David Walters. And, well, taking a look back at the man at the moment in fifth, Rolliston, of course, behind his teammate Walters, both trying to get forward. Walters having an absolutely terrible start, dropping down 2 positions, but the worst start, I think, was from Kettle Larson jumping the start, and I think was a little bit too early there. He won before the lights got out.
Yeah, it was a bit of an eager bee, but we can have a look back at the start now. And we'll jump on board with Kettle Larson. There he is, moving, unfortunately. And that did there as well for Kettle Larson. Give him somewhat of... He's going to have to go into the pits, I think, for that one down.
Well, he's going to have to. It'll either be a drive-through or it will be a stop and go. It depends what iRacing gives you. Usually, for a jump start, it is a drive-through penalty. So you will have to serve a drive-through penalty, go through the pits, not do anything in his pit box, just drive through the fast lane. There he goes in the back of screen, and he's going to come out the other end of the pit lane again, but having dropped all the way down to the back of the field. Dolzer, though, is in pit lane as well. I think that was Dolzer I saw going into the pit lane, because it seems like, for the moment, Kettle Larson has continued.
Yeah, well, I think saying that, right, I had a jump start earlier on in one of the officials, and I got a stop and hold for 39 seconds.
Oh, wow.
I know. Don't even go there. But the two Tiger team here from David Walters and David Rolliston are next to each other on track. They're currently coming round turn 6, dropping down into 7 here at the moment. But yeah, I'm thinking Lucas Dozer may have that same issue. He's still sat in the pit lane, so unfortunately for him, he is still going to be sat there, but we will try and see how he gets on. But this would be on board now with Rudolph Nagel trying to chase down John McCutcheon currently at the beginning. Big battle behind him with Paul LeMay, Daniel Sedgley, and also Kettle Larson. He has got a pit. I don't get... I understand why he's still fighting, but I'm not quite sure why he hasn't pitted. I think you'd want to get it out of the way as quickly as possible, wouldn't you?
You would, but the question is, did iRacing register it as a jump start? We don't know that, of course. We don't know if the driver has a penalty. We don't get that information on our timing screen, sadly. But from what we saw, it was a jump start from Kettle Larson. So we're just assuming now that he's going to pull into the pit lane next lap. He's going to try and create as big of a gap to the drivers behind him. Try to get out ahead of some drivers, which is going to be difficult to do with everyone being this close. Meanwhile, though, Lucas Dolzer came out of the pit lane, a stop time of 34 seconds. So I assume that's exactly what you said.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that's a part of the stop and go procedure. As I say, I had a stop and hold. I think it was either 34 or 39 seconds. So unfortunately for him, Stefan Mellis moves over. Kyriakopoulos and Cascado go through currently at the moment. There is Cascado. Kyriakopoulos is on the inside. You just see Daniele Cascado on there. There he is there from Team Mudday. Mike Bousson from Team Madline. Not changed over liveries again, which I'm a bit surprised about, considering there is a team championship going on. Normally he's in with the Team Madline. John has rocked his Team Madline paint scheme. I know he runs the Pink Panther pink livery in another series, so it's great to see him back here in his customary yellow with Rudolf Nagao also in yellow, chasing him down there for Simracing. But don't forget, guys, as well, if you are here, follow, subscribe, turn on the bells for notifications, be amazing. Also, one of the things I want to mention is the giveaway that JPB are doing over on Instagram at the moment. You've got to like, share, and follow JPB on Instagram to be a chance of winning £50 of iRacing dollars when we hit 300 followers. So we have gained quite a lot. It still needs an extra push and help from everybody. So please get yourselves involved in that. But don't forget, like, follow, and share. You must share the post. It is up there. It will be reposted again tomorrow, so it does come to the top, but it is there currently at the moment. Mike Bousson and Guy Robinson. Mike has gone through on the inside here of the last turn with this run now. Kieran Cobbles has got an extra run as well. He's going for it, trying to push Guy Robinson out of the draft of Mike Bousson. Kieran Cobbles is slotted back in here. He's going to be pulling out again. He's got to be going again. Last of the breaks, late breakers, Kieran Cobbles and Guy Robinson. And it is Guy Robinson that's still hanging on to that position. Early on, 1:24 left on the clock there, down as well. There's been quite some movers and shakers already.
Here to have the biggest gainers at the moment, or biggest gainer at the moment, is Gary Treby in 11th, up 5 positions. And of course, the man who lost the most positions, Lucas Dolzer, all the way down in 20th, with what we think is a jump start. Could it be that he might have been on quali fuel as well, and that he had to fuel up?
Possibly, but one of the things I've noticed is Kettle Larson is still going.
Yeah, so I think what has happened here is the fact that iRacing didn't register it as a jump start. So he definitely himself thought that he jumped the start because he slowed down and he got a terrible start, has lost 3 positions from where he started.
Oh, mate, he jumped it. There's no shadow of a doubt. That was a jump start in conjunction there as well. Kirill Coblis has gone round. He's sitting down in turn 10. Let's have a look back and see what Kirill Coblis has been up to. So there is Dennis coming out of turn 10. Oh, this could be Kirill Coblis sandwich between Stefan Mellis and also Guy Robinson. So, unfortunately for Kirill Coblis, he was kind of, well, he was an orange car between a sandwich there, Dan, really, wasn't he?
Yeah, that was coming down into turn 10, and, well, not a lot he could do there, of course. On the outside, he had someone on his inside, and if the guy on the outside turns in a little bit earlier than the guy on the inside does, you're usually going to get sandwiched in between them. Although, not saying that he should have backed out of that, but he put himself kind of in that position. If I was in the middle there, I would have backed out, me knowing that into that corner, especially on exit, it gets quite tight. So I would have personally backed out, but of course, tell a racing driver to back out of a battle, that usually never goes, well, a long way. Meanwhile, Guy Robertson being overtaken by Stefan Mellis, who goes up the inside of him there into turn 5, makes that move stick, and now up the hill we run, through 7 and 8 into 9. Here's Daniel Sedgley defending from Kettle Larson, who's trying to make up those positions he lost at the start by presumably, or what we think was a jump start, but iRacing not giving him one, I think.
I am surprised about that. I've got to be honest, I am surprised because he clearly jumped the start there. If we can go back far enough, on the grid-in section here of the race, and we'll see if we'll pick up Kettle Larson, because he clearly jumped that start.
Well, let's see, there he is, on the starting grid.
Yeah, look. Oh, how did it not pick up that?
Yeah. Well, if you look at the green lights, he goes exactly when the green light goes on. And I think he thought he was too early, but he was actually almost pretty perfect.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Danny. He did look like he jumped the start in a big way, and maybe he got away with it. Maybe Kettle Larson did get away with it, but I'm shocked. I'm very shocked if he did do, because I think he was very, very close to getting some form of drive through or stop and hold at least.
Yeah. Well, of course. Oh, here we go. Daan Cascado up the inside of Guy Robertson. And there we go down the order. He goes into 15 now. Buson, meanwhile, ahead, is dropping down the order as well. He's fighting with Truby. That is through turn 9. They go side by side. This is difficult to run through side by side, though. They make it work. Now into 10. Can Buson try and come back on Gary Truby? He goes up the inside. And he's going to make that one stick up the inside. He goes back up into P12. These two are having a real good scrap at it.
Yeah, I think it's good to see Buson battling away, I've got to be honest, with Mike. You know, I think from Mike's point of view, it's been a tough one, right? Because on Thursday, I think it was, I spoke to Mike, and he basically just said he's not had much practice on this track. And, you know, he come in about 15 minutes remaining now. I don't know what practice he's done between now and Thursday. Clearly, obviously, I'm not here in his pocket. I don't know, I can't see what he's done. But I believe, you know, I don't think this is one of Mike's strongest tracks here this evening as well. Stefan Mell is still battling away with Guy Robinson. One of the things I want to look at is our very own Sandro Capella looks like he may have had an off track currently at the moment. He's sitting at the back, so let's see what Sandro Capella's been up to. So it's
once
possible.
Again down into turn 10.
Spun the back end up, you reckon?
I think so. Yep, there we go. Oh, no, actually. Well, what? That's a weird one. I think just in reaction to feeling the spin, slammed on the brakes and just slid to the left-hand side.
Yeah, definitely. 1:18 left on the clock here, guys, and it is John McCutcheon currently out in front in 17th place, on lap 7 with 1 hour and 18 minutes remaining. And I think it's going to be an interesting one to see how this one materialises now, because I think from that point of view, we're going to be seeing quite a lot.
Yeah, well, we're now coming through the last corner, Catalunya. Of course, named after the circuit name. That last corner, John McCutcheon has a good exit there. Needs about 2 to 3 tenths, at least 2 tenths, in order for him to stay ahead of Nigel. If he has 2 tenths, Nigel could go for a move. 3 tenths, he should be safe for a move on the straight, but of course Nigel could still be getting close enough to try and outbrake him.
Yeah,
meanwhile, talking about outbraking, Mike Buson outbraking Paul LeMay, I think.
Michael LeMay, brother.
Michael LeMay.
Yeah, Michael LeMay. They need about 2.5 tenths coming off that last corner to even remotely get near enough in the draft. I think that's one of the things that they've got to get. If they're not 2.5 tenths back, they're not going to be able to get it. And I think they've got to be looking at trying to get that. Guy Robinson here still battling away. That looks like Graham Brown in front. It is Graham Brown, so Graham has just cleared, he's just cleared Dennis Kyrgiopoulos and he's cleared Guy Robinson all at the same time. That was Daniele Cascado. Cascado going into turn 5 has lost the back end of that SR10. I thought he was going to do so well as well here tonight, the returning Daniele Cascado, but unfortunately no, it just looks like he's lost the back end there, Dan, as well.
Presumably that was the rears locking going into that corner, which is easy to do in these cars if you run the brake balance a little bit to the rear, and there was David Rolliston.
Was there contact?
Oh, yeah, there was. Definitely there was contact. That did not. You do not go on power that early into the corner, so that could not have been David Rolliston spinning it on the power. There was contact between those two. It was already looking close into the braking zone of 14. Yeah, contact. There was contact.
There was contact with Sedgley, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Contact with Sedgley there. So, Wallow, unfortunately, down at the order now on lap 8 here. Drops all the way down into 10th place. But Dennis Kiriakopoulos looks like he's having an epic ding-dong with Guy Robertson here. I think this could be the closest battle as they lead round now for lap 9 with 1 hour 15 minutes remaining.
Kiriakopoulos, of course, after that start that he had at turn 1, of course, had a little bit of an off. He's now trying to once again make those positions up. He's in 17th at the moment, as you can see on the left-hand side of screen. Down 6 positions to where he was. He's now going to try and make the move on Guy Robertson down the inside. And he's going to make that move stick right till the exit of the corner. He's going to drive it out. He's up into P16. Next target for him is going to be Graham Brown, of course. Dennis Kiriakopoulos in the pro class. So he should make his way up to P12 at least without any trouble if the AM cars don't fight him too much. If you were an AM here, James, and you saw Dennis Kiriakopoulos coming up in your rearview mirror, would you fight him or not?
Yeah. Yeah, I would. Why wouldn't you? It's track position. It doesn't mean because he's got a yellow stripe and I've got a blue stripe, it means that my blue stripe isn't worth as much, you know. And I would definitely be fighting him here, and I'm expecting Damien G to give David Walters, I'm mixing names up like you did the other day, here a good, a fair amount of battle. I don't think Damien G is quite in the position to be a puppy. He's not going to roll over and get his belly tickled here by David Walters and just like, yeah, mate, you go through. So I just tickle me on the way through. I'm hoping Damien G puts in a big old stern little bit of a defense here over to get Walters through. Walters has got 7 tenths. Damien G last time out on a 141.10. Walters last time out on a 141.3. So there's a lot to still go for Damien G in this. He can't just sit back and let it go. But one of the things, I've got Lucas Dozer has jumped into the pits. Now I think it's got something to do with this incident here. Coming down.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know the weirdest thing about that? It looked like he almost turned into that.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to say.
It's a little bit strange, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But this is one coming to be one of the closest battles on track, but so is this one up front with John McCutcheon and Rudolf Nagel. 3 tenths. We know Nagel's going to need about 2.5. If he can get 2.5 tenths coming out of that last corner, he may get him. But anything above that, I don't believe he's going to... Oh, he might struggle even on 2.7 here. We'll have to see. You can see it dropping down. No, he's not. I don't believe he is. He's going to try, but he's too far back. Look at the gap in the middle. It's that gap that causes the problem. When you get close enough in the SR10, the dirty air spits up and it turns around and goes, nope, your car's not going to love it. So therefore, he can't get close enough. He has to be about 2.5 tenths to get that gap and get that lead at the end of the start-finish straight. Otherwise, he's just not going to get it down, I'm afraid.
He's lifting. I think if we go on board with Nagel, we will see next lap into turn 1. He is lifting. We saw it earlier on the straight. He might be clutching in. That could also be what he's doing. But yeah, it definitely looked like Rudolf Nagel was lifting there halfway through the straight. The gap was closing. And all of a sudden, in the straight, that gap opened up again to about 2.5 tenths. So I think, once again, Rudolf Nagel is saving fuel. He's playing the strategy game behind McCutcheon. And usually that's the other way around. This is not what Nagel wants to do. He's going to lose loads and loads of time. It's going to be outside of a second here. And that's just understeer into turn 9. What this is also going to do, being behind John McCutcheon for this long, it is going to give him fuel, but it's also going to wear his tires down a lot quicker than it is on John McCutcheon's car, because he's going to be sliding way more than McCutcheon will be.
Yeah, definitely on that one. I'm going to have a look back and see what's happened to Daniele Cascado, because he is currently in the pit lane. Here is Daniele coming around into turn 15. As soon as you saw him hit the sausage curb, good night Vienna, unfortunately for Daniele Cascado, and he is in the pits, and that car is somewhat crabbing. Well, it looks like it's fairly straight, to be fair, but yeah, unfortunately for Daniele Cascado, it is an early pit stop for him.
Well, you know what the good thing was about that, James? At least he could go straight into the pit lane. It's never good to crash, don't get me wrong. But at least he could go straight into the pit lane. Damien G is actually putting up a real good fight here. And if I was an AM driver, I would argue don't want to lose time. But if you're on the overall podium as an AM driver with the pace that Damien G has at the moment, first of all, I wouldn't consider him an AM anymore. But, well, I would fight for this podium with all my life. With all that I had in me, I would fight for this podium. Because if he could get a podium as an AM driver, he will be the first one this season to actually do so.
I think from Damien's point of view, he's got to put stoutly defending. There's only really, and what he wants to be able to do is stay clean past that third sector. If he doesn't stay clean throughout that third sector, I think that's where David Waters could close him in and get that run down the start-finish straight. If he nails his start-finish third sector all the time through here, he doesn't want to quite do that as much. But he needs to get on the power and get going as soon as he can, you know, because David Waters is 3 temps. He's not going to get him. I don't care what anybody says. He needs 2.5 temps off that last corner. And that you can doubt me if you want, but I promise you he needs 2.5 temps. We've seen it in a lot of broadcasts, and he hasn't managed to get down there, and nobody's managed to overtake outside of that window. So 2.5 temps is got to be the gap. Mike Booth's on here. Currently sitting down at about 1.1. Oh, he's going for it. Over David Rolliston. Bouson's going to send it up the inside. Rolliston's going to come back on the exit of 1 through 2. And it is Mike Bousson making the move there over David Rolliston on currently lap 13 here this evening. 1:09 left on the clock. But yeah, that's Mike Bousson through over on the Tiger team of David Rolliston. Rollo's going to be looking at trying to come back. There's going to be contact. Oh! Rollo and Bousson. Rollo knows it. He's let Mike Bousson back through. He definitely knew he'd done something wrong there because he turned around and just went, nope, can't claim that position. And he let Bousson back through there.
Well, it's an interesting one. I think he went for it, and well, just a little bit, well,
overzealous.
Yes, yeah.
I don't even know if he purposely went for it. I think he went too deep into the corner, to be honest.
Just missed his braking marker, you think?
Yeah, I think he just carried too much and went too deep in. Result, I just want to pick up something really quickly, right? Philip across the pond, thanks about driving. One of the things, right, I'm going into a league. Now, anybody that knows me knows the last league I did, Daan commentated on, and it was an MX5 league, and it was a very long time ago, Dan, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. And I haven't been league racing since. I've barely done hardly any racing, to be honest. Tomorrow night, I'm venturing into a TCR. Haven't driven TCRs forever. Literally forever. Jumped in the Audi, did a few laps, and I managed to get the time down to a 1:59.5 at VIR. I did find out that the leaders are going to be doing about 1:57. So that, you know, I'm a 2 seconds off the pace there. But it's all about getting into the car and practicing, Dan, isn't it? It's about dedicating a certain amount of time. Now, you know and I know, I don't have a lot of time between broadcasting and commentating, family life, kids and everything else. I don't have that amount of time. But you've got to spend the time you have got well spent if you are going to jump in the rig, haven't you? You can't just go out, thrash laps and hope they all work. You've got to kind of do it in a systematic way. Drive around the circuit first, get used to the circuit, figure out which way it goes and what's coming up and what corners you got, and then you just start going quicker as the time goes on.
What James is saying is that he uses the driving line when he goes out of the pits to learn the circuit, which I think is never a good idea. Why is that?
The driving line.
Bousson, by the way, going up the inside of Treby. We'll continue with that in a second, but Treby going to try and hang around the outside. Can't quite do it into turn 11. Bousson has that position. He's now up into P10, and he's back where he was after the start. Gary Treby, even though dropping down that position, still up 5 on where he was. But what I'm saying is, the line isn't bad to learn a circuit in the way that you know where it's going because you have the line. But if you take the braking marker on where the line is, you are going to focus on the line in terms of where you're going to have to brake. You are not going to take out the braking markers on the side of the track or something like that. You're going to be looking at that racing line, which is not a good idea if you want to turn it off. Because then all of a sudden you won't have your reference point anymore. And I always think that practice and trying to learn the track without the racing line is better. Meanwhile, though, Sandro Capella, what has he been up to? Let's see, that is into 13, just goes straight on.
The problem for Capella is he's spent about as much time in his rig as I do. So he's managed to come back here tonight, but I think he doesn't spend a lot of time either. But this is David Rolliston, Stefan Mellis, Graham Brown and Dennis Kiriakopoulos battling it way down into turn 10. Coming out of 7 into 8.
Gonna be behind.
Oh, Mellis is off. Mellis is off. Oh, hello.
Oh, he's gone again.
Too many beans there, bud. Too many beans.
Tires already lit up.
Yeah, he kind of put the hammer down, didn't he, and kind of went for it. So, unfortunately for him, he has gone down there as well. We did see him recovering. Now, going on what you was touching on earlier on with the racing line, right? I normally do. There's no shadow of a doubt. My time is so limited that I normally do, right? I normally do. I went out today at VIR and I didn't put it on. Now, one of the advantages you can see in the top right-hand corner is we have a track map, right? So generally I would use the track map to tell me where I'm going, because obviously I don't know the circuit. I know VIR, but I don't know it necessarily well enough to drive. And I didn't have the driving line on today.
Good job.
So you should be proud of me. Thank you.
Yes, I am.
Did you see the driving line in the video that you saw?
No, I didn't see it.
Well, there you go. It's because it went on.
Well, the thing with Virginia is it sounds like it has a lot of corners. But a lot of those corners are in the middle section, and it is pretty much flat in almost every car. There aren't as many corners to remember as you think there are. The first sector is quite flowing. The second sector is a right-hander with a straight in it, and then the third sector, Virginia is quite an easy track to learn, I've found. At least where it goes. To drive it quick, very difficult, very bumpy circuit. Pretty much an old school circuit, not a lot of room for runoff. Talking about runoff, Gary Truby using all the track he can to try and defend from Rolliston. Can't quite do it. Gary Truby had a tremendous start, but ever since, let's be honest, James, has been dropping down slowly but surely, and now he's dropped back into the clutches of Graham Brown, into all this group. Gary Truby, though, as long as he can stay in the slipstream of Rolliston, I think he'll be fine. Rudolph Nagel, though, has overtaken McHutchinson. McHutchinson back down in second. Let's see where that happened. That was down to turn 1. He was within that 2.5 or tenth of a gap. Went forward into turn 1. And there we go. That is a lead change. Rudolph Nagel into P1. But where is McHutchinson? Lost 3.2 seconds. Do you think that is the tyres just coming to the end of their life for John McHutchinson?
They never normally change tyres. That's the interesting thing. Like these guys up front, they don't normally change tyres. You see Stefan Mellis having a go at Guy Robertson down into turn 1. Robertson's going to give him the gap respectively, mind you. So there we go. Gary Truby still battling away here with Graham Brown. Damien G's opened about an 8 gap over David Walters at the moment, and is still putting in times around the 141 mark. So he's still holding his own in that position, and he's staying ahead of David Walters, Kettle Larson, Daniel Sedgey and Paul LeMay. So clearly, from Damien G's point of view, he's putting enough effort this week and enough practice to really put his times into the I was going to say, he's sort of radical in amongst the pigeons almost.
Yeah, well, and if John McHutchinson is struggling with tyres, because I can remember on Friday, of course, we did that broadcast, same track, same car, and the tyres of the drivers, of course, that was a sprint race, we're going off towards the end. 30 minutes that race was, and look how many minutes, or how long, we've had in this race. About 30 minutes. So it could be that John McCutcheon was just a little bit too harsh on his tires, while Kjetil Larsen makes his way up into 5th, goes past Daniel Sedgley. It could be the case that McCutcheon is on the end of his tires. I just want to throw it in there because it could be the case. We're going to see it in terms of his pit stop time if he's going to change tires. But if his tires are going off already, it doesn't matter if you're saving tires. Your tires are going to go off somewhere in the race. So I think this could actually be a race where we see tire strategy come into play. Of course, it's been a long time since we've done a broadcast on the Radicals. Tire models have changed, of course. 2 weeks ago, we were at Hockenheim. Tires weren't changed there, but we saw drivers go for a strategy. It didn't quite work out there because the tires were... There was less wear to the tires at that track. This is a very rear-heavy track because of the slow corners here in Sector 3. The high-speed corners, of course, in Sector 1. Of course, Turn 3, Turn 2. So a very tire-demanding track. So it could be the case that the tires are going off quicker here than they were at Hockenheim.
I think when we get into the pit window, I think that's going to be really the interesting thing to see how they get on. I think keeping an eye on whether or not they had, whether or not they're going to have to change tyres. I think it's going to be one of the interesting things. Now we know Rudolf Nagel generally doesn't. John McCutcheon is another one that generally doesn't. But I think if we are dropping as much as they're saying they're dropping off currently at the moment, and I think it's possible we're going to have to. Damien G has just lost that position to David Walters. It looks like G has just kind of got bullied out here. I thought he's got to slot back in now behind Larsen. Let's just going to run Larsen around the outside here. Currently, but turn 4, Damien G trying to go around the outside in his SR10. He'll have the inside line for the next corner, but he's got to put the gas down and really make that work at the moment. Otherwise, he's going to get bullied out of 3 positions. Damien G. No. Damien G's just got muscled. He literally he's just got bullied out, unfortunately, and he's gone down faster down the order than needs to be. Could have been more stoutly defending there from G. I think he just kind of... it's almost like he accepted the fact that he was going to lose the positions. He didn't really kind of put a muscle into trying to go down there, and it's a shame really, because I thought he would have been able to hold on to that 3rd place overall.
Well, what Damien G does... Oh, that's a big mistake from Daniel Sedgley. Once again, Daniel with a little bit of a mistake. And Daniel Sedgley back down into 6th. Another mistake for Daniel Sedgley. The pressure maybe getting to him, or just the busyness of the place where he is on the track is going to go to the pit lane. Very, very slowly. Of course, there's a slow down to serve. If you don't serve it before you cross the pit entry line, you are going to get a penalty. So that is why you slow down that much on pit entry. Graham Brown all over Gary Truby, who himself is all over Kyriakopoulos. Kyriakopoulos made up those positions. Rolliston is the next one out of him. Now he's 1 position down on where he was earlier. Rolliston down 5 on where he was. I expect that gap to not come down too quickly, but to come down slowly but surely towards Rolliston. And if Brown and LeMay can stay close enough to Kyriakopoulos here, they could maybe try and hang with him in the slipstream. Meanwhile, Sedgley, like we saw, into the pit lane. First one of the pit stoppers. He's out of the pit lane now, or out of his pit box at least. As it seems like he's gone out of the race now. He's jumped back into the garage.
Yeah, clearly still got an issue there for Daniel Sedgley. It looks like he is unfortunately out of this evening's race with Sergio Capella. And Lucas Dozer is still in the pits, keeping the... I'm not quite sure what he's doing. I think he's sitting down having a cup of tea with the guys in the pit box there. 9 laps down currently at the moment, been in the pits for about 20 minutes. So clearly Lucas Dozer just like sitting there, chilling out, having a cup of tea with the guys and, getting to know the team behind him for Lucas Dozer out of SimRC, because it wasn't the greatest race for Dozer. I'm not entirely sure what happened to him there, but whatever happened that's caused him a problem. There is now about 8.2 seconds with Rudolf Nagel up front currently at the moment. There is Dennis Kyriakopoulos here as well. So there we go. Stop and hold 1 minute for corner cutting. A minute? A minute, Dan?
Wow. He slowed down, it looked like. He even let Damien G back through where he was ahead of.
Well, I tell you what, let's
weird.
analyse and have a look at this then, because I'm not entirely sure how. I've never seen a minute stop and hold. I think it wasn't continued call to cut.
Well, we don't know what happened before that, but here he goes. He's going to go wide.
It took
In
evasive
front
action.
of him. Yeah, because he braked too late. But in front of him, you saw Damien G. There he goes. LeMay is also going to get past, so he lost time doing that. And then you still get a minute of... Yeah. He lost time there, so if that is the case, that is bitter luck for Daniel Sedgley, because he lost time and he purposely slowed down enough not to get that corner cutting penalty, and a minute is very, very harsh.
Yeah, definitely harsh on that one. Sorry, Dan. I lost about 5 seconds for a slowdown as well, and then he gets a minute stop and hold as Stefan Mellis, Guy Robertson still having their own little personal duel down towards
too wide.
Rolliston. Oh, Mellison. Stefan Mellis running over the gravel there as well. David Rolliston looks like he's took an excursion at the same time. So unfortunately for Stefan Mellis there, he was unfortunately gone off track and then still down in 15th. David Walters being chased down by Kettle Larson. Damien G still in the mix, but unfortunately Damien G's got his AMS confidant, Paul LeMay, chasing him down currently at the minute. So he lost 5 seconds for a slowdown, unless the slowdown didn't clear either before I entered the pits.
That's what I said.
So
that was going to happen.
So he already left forward out, apparently. So Daniel Sedgley,
well,
no more. Don't worry, Dan, you got a job week.
Well, I get the frustration that Sedgley has, because he lost time. He purposely let LeMay through as well. Oh, that's a big snap from Walters. He's going to lose time with that. Nelson is not going to be close enough though, but like I was saying, he lost time with that, and then you still get a 5-second slowdown, and that is so frustrating. Sadly, that's how iRacing works, but it doesn't make any sense at all. You lost time with that, you purposely slowed down, and then you still get a 5-second slowdown. So you lose time on top of the time you already purposely lost to try and not get that slowdown.
Yes.
So it's really, really frustrating, and I get what Daniel Sedgley means.
So basically he's getting punished twice.
Yes. Well, no.
Technically,
he
3
punishes
times.
himself.
Well,
No,
yeah,
well,
so he punished himself by going off, right? He went round, then
Yes.
he would have got a slowdown and an off track at the same time, right? So that's twice. Then he got a stop and hold for 60 seconds in the pits. That's 3 times for one incident he's been punished for.
Well, I think he got the slowdown when he came back on track instead of cutting the corner. So he slowed down, and then he came back on track, and then you get another 5 seconds while you've already slowed down. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I'm being so frustrated about this because it happened to me several times, and it still is happening, and it doesn't make any sense, does it, James? If you purposely lose time to try and listen to the rules, if you go off track, do not gain, and you do not gain any time, you purposely lose time, and then you still get a slowdown because the game says, or the simulator, I would say, says you got a slowdown.
What you guys can't see is what I'm looking at now is obviously I can see Dan because obviously we're here on camera as well. We are looking at each other. What you're missing at the moment is Dan's fake commas in the air. You know what I mean? He's kind of putting apostrophes on everything, and he hasn't actually. He's not really saying anything between the game and the simulator. The fact he called it a game. All DMs to Dan Pepels through the Radical Sim Racing Discord. Please do not get me involved. I am just an innocent party in this one. I've not called it a game. But I do think sometimes the fact that you get punished twice, an off track and a slowdown, kind of to me it should be one or the other. Shouldn't be both. But look, I'm not going to rant too much because, you know, they are who we're using for broadcasting currently at the moment.
Well, I'm not saying there's anything too bad with it. It's something that is, it's integrated into the system, and everyone has the same. So of course everyone has to listen to the same rules.
Yep.
It's just frustrating. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's like anything, right? We know, and you know, and I know, and everybody else knows. There's always something with a simulator or a game, even if you play games outside of iRacing, like, Fortnite, Call of Duty, Path of Exile, anything you want to play, there's always incidents. Now, one of the things I want to look at is, where has this incident come from, and what is this about? David Rolliston, what have you been up to?
Cold tires? Oh. Well, now, usually, if this was real life, you would have said a tire was not put on properly. But this is a simulator, so that can't be the case. So that's a weird one there, isn't it, James?
Yeah, because he's back into the pits again. So whatever happened, I'm wondering if some of it, though, may have stemmed from this earlier incident where he went off track twice to come back on, you see, and then he went off again, and then he's entered the pit lane. So maybe this will clear up more details for us. No, that's the wrong... No, that's the back end of his incident. How badly did he do this incident? That's the thing.
Oh, that's
harmless.
turn 6, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's harmless, isn't it? In conjunction with what, if he's had an incident where he's put it into the barrier, I get it, but that slight spin isn't going to damage his car. So maybe there was more there, I don't know, that we don't know about David Rolliston. But we'll go back on board with Kettle Larson, who's chasing down, well, he's not chasing at the moment, it's David Walters, who's got Damien G tucked up right behind him.
Of course, Damien G, after that earlier, dropping down the order. He's now trying to make his way up again. Walters is the man ahead of him. What Damien G doesn't want to do is risk his own race fighting someone who he could have just let by or stay behind if he doesn't lose any time to Paul Lemay behind him. Because the thing is, if he's losing time, I would completely support him trying to go past Walters. There's no reason why he couldn't go past Walters.
Why would he not be allowed?
No, of course he's allowed. Like I said, there's no reason why he wouldn't be allowed or why he wouldn't be going past Walters. It might just be a smarter decision to try and save fuel or just stay behind him, because you know you're not going to get away from him and you're going to be under pressure. He doesn't want to risk the lead of the AM class that he's in at the moment.
Well, he's still got that 1.5 battle, 1.5 gap up front. So I think from that point of view, he's still in with a shot. And I think for his, great efforts, he's doing really well. As you can see there, he is leading the AMs currently at the moment as well. With Paul Lemay, Graham Brown, Gary Kruby. So, there's a lot for Damien G to do. There has been looking like this incident here. They have come to contact these two cars, Buson and Mellis, and by the looks of it, this is what's happened. So there's Buson in the middle. That's Robinson up in front of him. Oh, Buson's gone in a little bit hot. Mellis looks like he's going to go for the gap. Oh.
He went for a gap that eventually was always going to close.
Always? Okay.
Well, I guess so.
Was there a gap there?
There was, clearly.
Was there?
But that gap disappeared very quickly.
Well, okay. From your perspective, yes, there may have been a gap, but was there a gap there to go for? We've had this debate before. We had this debate. Colin Wynn was in the chat Friday.
No.
I think it was.
No. Straight up, no, there wasn't.
No. That should have been a break and carry on after. But, I'm up in the booth for a reason. And, we're here to try and tell a story currently at this moment in time. And it's going to be interesting to see how Mike Buson recovers from this now. Mike is on lap 25, while the leaders are on lap 26. Now, he's obviously not been lapped just yet. However, by the looks of it, he may be very shortly as David Waters goes into the pits. So that is Damien G through and clear here currently at the moment, but David Waters is into the pits at this moment in time. So for Rudolf Nagel, he has got 7th in class Graham Brown currently up in front of him. There is Graham there, so he is coming around to lap Graham Brown here already. So it's going to be an interesting one, I think, today. I think how this one turns out, Dan, is going to be interesting with 45 minutes remaining.
Definitely is. Do you know who I'm missing today? Is the Team Slow-Mo guys. I have an idea what that might be down to.
I don't know. Sven Young Matheson was in chat earlier on, Dan.
Yeah. Well,
he was shattered apparently.
Okay. Yeah. I guess so. I think, if I'm correct, because I haven't seen anyone else. Of course, we all know the event that has gone on this weekend in iRacing, the Daytona 24 Hours, the official event. We did them, and we were in the split with the Team Slow-Mo guys. Joachim Kjød and Sven Young Matheson in a Porsche GT. And I have a feeling it might be down to that. Rudolf Nagel at the moment carving his way through the lap traffic. But I have a feeling it might be down to that. Maybe not getting enough practice in, of course. Their focus will have been on the Daytona 24 Hour. It only comes around once a year. So, yeah. It's a special event, so focus was probably on that. And they didn't have to practice, or they were just too shattered to take part in this event, which I guess is normal after the 24-hour race with 2 people. I think they did it, 2 people, a 24-hour race with 2 people.
Well, Sven Young has just simply put, he feels like a zombie. So I think from that point of view, we can obviously guess that, you know, there was definitely tiredness kicking in, because obviously he was knackered, as you say, doing it with 2 people. But, you know, I'm sure they did well. Where did they finish in the end, Dan?
P7, just like us. We in the LMP2 class, and they in the GT3 class. I have to say, big ups to the Team Slow-Mo guys. Stefan Mellis off. That is a big mistake, and he's going to go off once again. He's gathered it back up, and he's now going to try and accelerate out of the last corner. But Mellis, maybe feeling the tire wear as well. A lot more people in the later stages of their stint now making mistakes. And I have a feeling, like I said earlier, that is down to the tires. But Team Slow-Mo finished in 7th. I think around 20 laps behind P6. And they kept going. So you have to give them that for, of course, not giving up. Very early on, they were doing really well. But I think they got crashed by some LMP car. Don't know what, didn't see the incident, just speculating here. But they kept going, and that happened about 6 hours into the race. So they drove basically 18 hours, knowing that they did not have a chance to win that race, which for most people, it's about the fun of driving the 24-hour. But why are you taking part in the 24-hour if you're not trying to win it? You know what I mean?
Now, that's an interesting point, right? As we can see here, Paul Clark has just come out the pits behind. He's just got taken by Mellis. Mellis is not pitted yet, so Paul Clark will get a position back. The interesting thing is as well, Busson's pit lane time on lap 20 was 40.53 seconds. Paul Clark and David Waters was 1 minute 5 or 1 minute 15 respectively. I think, right, I said to you earlier on as well regarding, you know, our Norwegian drivers, that I don't think it's generally all about winning the races. I think the fact that they've come back and completed the Daytona 24 Hours, right? The easiest thing is obviously with time as well. If they're in one split that they can only give that dedicated time to, because tomorrow at the time the next split finishes, they're not going to be home, or they're out slaying Vikings coming across from the land, or whatever they're up to. You know, the fact that they stayed in and continued, I think, is admirable anyway, because, you know, I've been I did one attempt at D24, and I went through the bus stop in the LMP2, it shot me up in the air, put me into the barrier with about 4 minutes of repairs. And the guys in the team went, there's no point carrying on now, and quit out. And it's like, it's only 4 minutes. You know what I mean? I've got 24 hours. Is anything else could happen? You know what I mean? It wasn't. It was just one. I'd hit the curb on the entrance to the bus stop of the LMP2, and it bounced me up in the air and put me into the barrier. But you know, I think some people come out of things too early regarding events like that. You know what I mean? You have got 24 hours.
Oh, big hit!
David Walters, Paul Clark. Oh, dearie me. I'm not quite sure where Walters is going, but it looks like he's going completely the wrong way here. Walters has jumped back into the pits. Let's have a look and see what happened here. Did he just miss his braking point going down into turn 5?
Oh, he did.
He did. He did.
And then
Paul Clark just kind of pushed him.
Get a move on.
Yeah, he's kind of he come out of the gravel, didn't he? He got him out of the gravel. So fair play to Paul Clark there. As we go back to live pictures here with Kettle Larson with Damien G tucked up right behind him at the moment as well.
Well, coming back to that, of course, if you enter a 24-hour race at the start,
yep,
you get into it and you think, all right, we're going to try and win this race. Otherwise, why would you race? If something happens along the way, you can say beforehand, if something happens along the way, we're going to finish this race no matter what. If we're 1,000 laps down, we don't care. We're going to finish this race. We want to finish this race. Yes, but you take part of the race to win. Otherwise, you're not racing in my eyes.
You do.
And
you do, right? Why did you why did you carry on then? You weren't going to win. You were like, what was it, 13 laps down or something?
in the end, we were 6 laps down before we got that 7-minute repair, like I said.
How many minutes repair?
We got almost 8 minutes of repair for going into a barrier at 34 miles an hour.
I saw that.
Or kilometers an hour.
Okay, so why did you guys carry on?
Because it was the last 3 hours of the race. If that would have happened earlier on, we would have said, well, no, we're done with this.
So are you saying then that everybody who does an endurance race, or everybody that does a race, or anybody who races in any race is going in the race to purposely win? To try and win?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going into a league tomorrow night, in a league that I have no hope of winning, but I'm going into it just for the fun of it.
Yeah,
so
but you set your own target.
Are you questioning
why? You set your own target.
I'm targeting for 10th. I'm not, if down the bottom end.
Exactly.
I might as well sit at the back with a colouring book and let them go on my way before I colour in a picture, because I'm not going to win the league. But are you saying that people who enter into races have to go in with the attitude of winning, otherwise there's no point entering?
In an endurance race, of course, you can enter whatever you want. Don't get me wrong. And you can go into a race with every mindset and whatever goal you want. But you go into a race wanting to win that race, especially 24 hours, because there's all chance of you winning. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter if you're 2 seconds a lap slower. It doesn't matter. If you end the race without any damage, you're usually in with a shot at winning the thing. So if you go into a 24-hour race, you go into that with a mindset of, there could be a chance of us winning. If not, we don't care. We want to drive this race. We enjoy this race. We want to finish this race. But you always go into it with the mindset of, we want to try and win this thing if we get the opportunity. If you do not get the opportunity, or if you get crashed along the way, you adjust your expectations and you go for the highest achievable possible. Because if you're just going to drive around at the back, you could also just drive the first lap and drive out the last lap of the race. Don't put any effort in and you finish the race. You know what I mean? You always try and get the best position you can. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Glad you cleared that up. Thank you very much.
Am I not correct in that?
Yeah, I think, you know, the fact that you were saying about the slow-mo guys, and the fact that obviously, you know, they carried on and they were so far back and whatever else. And I don't think from their point of view they probably cared about that. They were probably in it to try and get up as far up the order as they possibly can. Yeah, whether or not they were expected to win, maybe. They're team slow-mo. They're not going in there to be at the back, but I also know the fact that obviously watching them in other broadcasts, generally through Taya, and giving, you know, Henning Haig a load of grief about overtaking people, I think at the end of the day, they probably were just enjoying the fact that they were doing it. They probably were drinking for the whole of the 24 hours. It wouldn't surprise me that their enjoyment kicked in during the 24 hours rather than the fact that they were there just dedicated to win. I've got to be honest, as you'll see Stephen Place overtaking Paul LeMay coming down in the start-finish straight down into turn one. At the moment, LeMay lost that place up into fifth, and is now trying to chase down a 2-point-second gap over Damien G, who, mind you, is putting in a stellar job keeping up with Kettle Larson here.
Yeah.
From IGR Coatings and Damien G from Radsport Simracing. So it's interesting to see how Damien G's getting on, but he's doing really well currently in the AMS.
Yeah, he is. We're getting towards that pit stop phase at the moment. All the top 8 have not pitted yet. Who also hasn't pitted is Guy Robertson and Stefan Mellis. They haven't pitted yet as well. So look out for them to look and go for the pit lane as well. Because we are coming towards the end of an hour already. It's flying by here, isn't it, James? This race, and they are going to have to fill up that fuel tank because the fuel tank isn't unlimited here in this Radical SR10. So at some point they are going to have to come in, and I expect that to be at about 5 minutes maximum. So look forward to that. But Damien G, like you said, he's doing an incredible job hanging on to Larson. And if you look at it, he's still in with a shot at the podium, which is incredible, I think, for Damien G. He's increasing the gap to Paul LeMay behind him. That gap is about 4.5 seconds at the moment, a little bit less. But he's working on it, and he has good pace, doesn't he, Damien G, at the moment?
Yeah, he's clearly been out and done his laps. You know, he's clearly put the practice in. I think, you know, everybody's kind of really done enough laps of this circuit now. They should know roughly where we're at with their own time and with what sort of times they're going to be looking at doing. Stefan Mellis has obviously been involved in his own little ta-ta-ta with drivers. Obviously David Rollo being involved as well with Paul Clark, and David Walters being involved with Paul Clark as well. So Paul Clark's had his fair share of incidents as well. None generally his own fault. I think maybe could he have closed the doors on a couple? Possibly, but I don't think it was generally down to him that his incidents evolved as where they are. I think from Damien G's point of view, though, I think he's keeping his tyres in. He's probably done a lot of officials and a lot of racing this week, and should really know this track like the back of his hand. But obviously, I don't know if Kettle Larson has done any of the D24, so maybe Kettle's feeling it at the moment down there in third place.
It could have well done. Well, for him, I don't know. From the IGL coding team, we weren't in their split, so from them I can't tell. But yeah, it could be the case. Of course, maybe more drivers in this race than I would have done the Daytona 24 hours. And if anyone is in here, I have a lot of respect for you because, of course, I did them as well. We were with 3 people, so we did 8 hours each almost, and it was incredibly tough. So yeah, huge respect for the people that have done that and continue to race now. Because let me tell you, I'm doing this now, and I might sound very energetic and very happy all the time, but I am at the moment very tired. So I'm trying my best at the moment, but I am very tired. So it is definitely taking its toll on me, and like it does on everyone else, because a 24-hour race isn't easy.
No, wasn't in it. I was just chilling today, spending time keeping your stream chat going and entertaining myself about the fact that you wouldn't admit it was your fault the tyres were going off in the LMP2.
Well, I still think it was not.
Yeah, but as I said to you, we could have been here all day and nobody really caught on the fact that you were going, it's not my fault. And I was going, it is. You were going, it's not my fault. I was going, it is. You were going, it's not my fault. I was like, it is. That's why I meant we could be here all day, because if you just keep saying, it is, it's not my fault, I could just keep putting, it is. But, you know, look, at the end of the day, it was good anyway. We're watching Damien G. Do you know what? I've got to give props to Damien. I met him as well up in Birmingham. He's a super stellar nice guy, and I think he's going up on the 11th as well. So if anybody is about on the 11th, please, you know, get yourself up to iLounge Racing. It's going to be absolutely an epic event. But he's driving generally out of his socks here now. You know, we see him talk a lot in the official chat in the Discord, and he does, you know, say he's done this and he's well done this and he's got this done, and you know, then he'll post some superlatives about the fact that he didn't do well. But it looks like Damien's done enough practice this week to get this nailed. You know, there is nearly a 3K IR rating difference here, but league racing doesn't really sort of stem from the fact that he's done well in his own right. You know, he's up into 4th, possibly 3rd, and he could get this one. Well, it looks like, do you know what? I've got a bit of funny feeling. He's actually looking like a little bit faster than Kettle Larson currently at the moment.
Well, he has the slipstream from Kettle Larson. Is he going to go for a move?
No, not here.
Not quite into 5. Not a corner where you usually go for that move. Maybe down into 6, though. He's looking all over the back of Larson. There he goes, pulls to the inside. He's going to try and make a move. Larson, though, defends that well. Doesn't really have to defend Damien G. Not able to outbrake Kettle Larson into turn 6. Damien G, I think no matter where he finishes tonight, he has shown that if he does the practice, he can be right up there with the quick guys.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Damien's really got to, you know, he's down in the AMs. We know that. He's you know, doing his stint down in the AMs, practicing on the way, getting quicker and quicker and quicker. And I think here, if he can keep it on track for the last 29 minutes, as we see Rudolf Nagel, just deciding after about an hour mark, he's got to put the fastest lap of the race in on a 1:39.95. You know, why not? You know, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it properly. But from G's point of view, if he keeps it on track, keeps it clean, stays close to Larson, you know, he's definitely well within that championship point. Larson's going in, G's going round, and Damien G looks like he's got more fuel to go for one more lap here over Kettle Larson. Damien G from Rad Sports Sim Racing, Kettle Larson, IGL Coaters, Paul Lamazin from Super Brothers Racing as well. What is Gary Truby going to do? He's the next in line in 7th. Truby is
quite far back.
Yeah, he's coming all the way down into turn 10, so he's quite far back currently at the moment. And then Dennis Kyrgiakopoulos behind. 12th and 13th, though, Michael LeMay, Guy Robinson, they have been into the pits. So it'd be interesting to see how long Larson's stop is. If it's around about 45 seconds, there's a possibility he's only taking fuel. Any longer, and he's possibly taking tyres at the same time.
I think McHutchinson will not take any tyres. He doesn't want to take that risk of losing that position, maybe to Damien G. Or, of course, to Kettle Larson behind him. And if Kettle Larson does take tyres, we're going to see what he can do compared to the guys who haven't taken tyres. The fact that Nagel has set the fastest lap of the race on those tyres tells me, though, that those tyres could just be in good shape still, and that they could continue on that, and that they're not going to lose too much time. Well, so then I'm asking myself, sorry?
No, carry on, sorry, carry on.
Because then I'm asking myself, in the sprint race, how were the guys struggling with their tires? Because if your tires, if you're pushing go off after 28, 30 minutes, maybe 25 if you're pushing really hard, then how can you make them last till the end of this race? Like, yes, you could look out for them and you could try and save the tires, but you're not going to save the tires for an hour longer. That's going to be impossible to do. So the thing is, McHutchison had a drop off earlier as well. Maybe there is a second life in the tires once the car gets a little bit lighter and once the car gets below a certain fuel level. Yeah,
I think the difference between a sprint and an endurance like this is you're just giving it more beans, Dan. You know what I mean? In a sprint, you're going for it solidly. You know what I mean? And I think where here you're a little bit more conservative. Like Buson knows now he can sit behind Kyrgiakopoulos and do his thing. Both of them are pitted. Buson pitted on lap 20, Kyrgiakopoulos on lap 35. You know, so I think from that point of view, they can both take their time with it. And as you say, I think they do generally look after their tyres anyway, but I think in an endurance they can look after them a little bit more. They haven't got to rush the overtakes. They haven't got to try and get from last to first. They haven't got to try and, you know, magic their way to the top and all as quickly as possible and frantic as possible. You know, they've got an hour and a half. They can just sit and chill. And I think what some of these guys are doing, especially the likes of Nagel, Kyrgiakopoulos and Busan, is they're being softer. McCutcheon, G, Place, they're all being soft on the tyres and allowing them to go a little bit further on. And I think that's what Nagel's doing, that's what McCutcheon's doing. G sat behind Larson for a hell of a long time. So, you know, he's obviously taking it easy on his as well. He could have pushed that situation.
Yeah, well, I don't think it would be a good thing, of course, if you push it in an endurance race. You're gonna want to try and not be too much on it the whole time, because eventually it is going to lose you tires, and tires is going to result in you losing time as well. Mike Buson, though, he's sticking behind Kyrgiakopoulos here. Kyrgiakopoulos, of course, after that pit stop, he is at the moment, in terms of who is pitted. For Truby, it is the next one who has to pit. He's the third car who's pitted. He is quite a little way back on Kjetil Larsen. Paul Lemay is not too far ahead of him. 3.8 seconds is the gap there. So, not too far.
John McCutcheon did take tyres.
Okay, John McCutcheon did take tyres. That's not something we're used to see.
No.
Didn't, okay.
No, neither did Damien G. I was checking, that's why there was focus on him, guys. It's not because I didn't want to see anything else. It was just literally I wanted to see what these guys were going to do when they go into the pits. And they literally have just sat there, taken fuel, and that could explain the 40-second pit stops. If anybody else is longer than that, it's possible that they have taken tyres. So the likes of Kjetil Larsen, Paul Lemay, Paul Clark, Michael Lemay, have all looking like they've taken tyres there as well. So Paul Clark's going to be running around on fresh rubber, so is Michael Lemay. Cascado Mellis, there is a big puff of smoke, and that is Paul Lemay. That's actually Michael. So Michael's new tyres have just been burnt out solidly there, as he's just gone and literally lit them up at the corner. We can have a look back at that one now. Coming down into turn 5. Yeah, turn 5. It looks like he's lit him up.
Oh, that was the grass.
Strange.
Oh, rear wing into the bar. He didn't touch anything, luckily for him. So he can continue without any damage. Maybe some damage on his ego going through that corner. Maybe a little bit more careful going through there next time. But apart from that, I don't think there was any damage on that car. Didn't touch anything, it looked like.
Yeah, Kjetil Larsen and Gary Truby are having a stellar battle here. Truby's still looking like he hasn't been into the pits. Damien G has jumped Kjetil Larsen, and not only that, he's going to jump Stephen Place here. Place is on his way out. G's coming down now.
He's going to get there.
G's going to get... I don't think he is. I think Place is already around turn 1. And it is Damien G into 4th. Stephen Place there jumped up into 3rd with a 40-second pit stop. Gary Truby's in now. Daniele Cascado's into the pits as well. So Gary Truby, let's see how short or long his time is. Obviously Kjetil Larsen on 1 minute and 2 pit lane time. It's possible he has taken tyres. But Gary Truby dropping down into 7th now. But it's Stephen Place in 3rd place. 3.5 seconds up the road from Damien G.
Damien G still doing a stellar job here in P4. The gap to P3 has opened up for him a little bit. But if there's one thing that Damien G has shown us today, is that he has the pace to catch up to whoever is ahead of him. So let's see if he can close that gap to Stephen Place. McCutcheon is pitted as well. The gap between Nagel and McCutcheon has kind of stayed the same. And coming out of the pit lane, there was a purple sector time for Rudolf Nagel. Lemay going up the inside of Robertson, not quite able to make that move stick into turn 10. Didn't quite commit for it looked like. Wasn't quite confident of the fact that he could make it, so backed out of that one it seemed like. But Lemay is looking to try and overtake Robertson. McCutcheon, his pit time also didn't take tires, like you said, neither did Nagel. He did have the gap to take new tires though, because the gap before, that is Robertson having some internet issues. That's not going to help indeed for Lemay. But Nagel, he could have taken tires with a gap of 28 seconds.
Yeah, he had loads of time, to be honest. Rudolf Nagel had absolute loads of time to take tyres there as well. And I think, to be honest, I can't see past Rudolf Nagel for this unless something drastic happens on his own. But it's looking like could be another Rudolf Nagel victory, Dan.
Yes, that will be his 5th victory of the season. We're 8 rounds in. Of course, Daniel Sedgley 1-2, and at Bathurst, like I said, Lucas Dolzer 1-1 as well. So the fact that only 2 other people have won, other than Rudolf Nagel, is absolutely amazing to see, and or it's crazy to see. That's what I wanted to say, because I didn't expect one man to run away with this championship as much as Nagel has done in the races. He just seems to have the edge over everyone else in the races when it comes to consistency. He can just keep putting those lap time out, look after the tires, look after the fuel, and still be just as quick as all the others. It is very impressive to see. The gap to McCutcheon, 30 seconds in, well, about an hour and 10 minutes time. And we've had now 41 laps. That's almost more than 7/10 a lap. That is quicker on average than McCutcheon at the moment, which is a big gap for drivers that are already on the edge of the grip for this car.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got to be close, but I think the likes of the people that have pitted at the same time, you know, Larson as well, G and everybody else, I think from their point of view, you know, Larson took tyres, so did LeMay. I think the minute 2 pit lane time gives that away there. Damien G is a little bit further on. He's coming around up into turn 4, well, Kurt Larson behind him is coming around turn 2. So G's got quite a gap to Larson. Place is further ahead again of G. Not too far, mind you. He's only a turn away. G's got the, well, he's lost a little bit of time. He's at about 4.3 seconds currently at the moment.
Well, the gap, he lost a bit, yeah, but I don't think it's coming down quick enough for G to be able to get there to the end of the race. That gap is closed down by 3/10. Over about a lap or 3, so that's a 10th, maybe 2/10 at maximum a lap. So yeah, I don't think that's enough. So he's gonna have to up his pace as Damien G if he wants to get closer. Coming now through turn 13, excuse me, going through 14. Quite a tricky complex. This very low speed, very. You need a lot of mechanical grip, not as much aero grip. In that section, in every car you drive it's the same. If it's a downforce car, of course. In other cars you don't have downforce grip. There's always a lot of mechanical grip, but a lot of mechanical grip needed there in that section.
Definitely, absolutely. 17 minutes remaining here on the clock. Big puff of smoke there. Doesn't look like there's anybody off around them. So there we go. The cars are quite spread out currently on track. You can see the interval times on the left hand side. There's no one really in the mix of getting them together, so unfortunately there as well, we'll try and bring you what we can here indeed, and it is really difficult at the moment because everybody's so spread out, but hopefully they'll come back together towards 17 minutes here towards the end of the race, Dan.
Yeah, well, the thing is, of course, with these longer endurance races, at some point, they are just going to find their position. Some people are quicker than others in terms of average race pace, and they are going to find their position. And once you've had about an hour, people have found their pace, they've found their position. This is not a driver swap race, so that means that drivers won't impact the speed of the car. And the pace of the car won't change over the 1.5 hour we have, which means that once everyone is settled down, is in the positions that they are at in terms of their average pace, no one is going to be able to really catch up, apart from the people who magically find some pace somewhere on the track.
Okie dokie. And where are we expecting that pace to come into now?
Well, at the moment, I think everyone is in the position where they are. We see all gaps are almost growing, we should say it like that. So you can see the full gaps on the left-hand side. Rudolf Nigel has lapped up to P12. Michael LeMay, and of course Graham Brown is the next one. Here he is, our leader. He hasn't got too much screen time as of yet. Of course, in the beginning of the race, when McCutcheon was ahead of him. But after that, we haven't really seen much of him. And I think for Rudolf Nigel, that's not a problem, because I think he likes it like this. He likes a bit of a gap to have the ability to make some little mistakes if there are any, and still be able to get away with them.
Yeah, Stefan Mellis, Guy Robinson still battling it out here for 12th and for 13th and 14th place respectively. Mellis is on the left-hand side on this run down into turn 7. Robinson is next to him. There's going to be... LeMay's coming in as well. Goes past Robinson. That was, I believe, Paul LeMay lapping these guys. It is. So Stefan Mellis moves over and lets him through as these guys can now resume their battle. Stefan Mellis and Guy Robinson here. I've been the interesting thing there, the complete gentlemanship there. Robinson's like, well, you know, you've just had to move over for a lap car so you can still carry on in front of me. I don't know if I'd have been that nice.
Well, I wouldn't, I can tell you that.
No.
You know,
I'd have made that move
I
on the
can't
inside
say.
there.
Well, the thing is, I can't say I'm a true racer of heart. I do enjoy watching a lot of racing. I do enjoy driving the sim. But if it comes to those kind of situations, I definitely have a racer's mind. Like, every position is won, and every position you can get, you take it with both hands. Apart from the fact if you maybe push someone off track or make contact with someone, but that's not what happened there. So yeah, sportsmanship from Robertson there, and well, I think we have to appreciate that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've seen a lot of it today. Rollo moved over and allowed Buisson to come back through earlier on as well when they made contact. So, you know, overall, I think it's been adequate as well. No, sorry, that was, yeah, because Buisson wasn't involved with Rollo. Yes, it was. Yes. Rollo, lap 13. So allowed Buisson to come back through, and then unfortunately for Buisson, you know, one Tiger couldn't have a go at him, so David Walters tried as well. So, you know, poor old Mike Buisson was more the deer in the headlights there for the two Tiger teams, chasing him down, trying to eat him. You know, one had a crack, let him back through, then David Walters come in and did the same thing. So bless the Tiger team, trying to eat on David Rolliston, on Mike Buisson there as well. John McCutcheon's getting caught by Stephen Blaze. The gap is still out at 1.5 seconds. But we will keep an eye on this little move for a minute. Hutchinson last time out 141.85. Stephen Blaze on a 141.42. So we pulled out nearly about 4.5 tenths over him currently at the moment as well. So, you know, hey-o, let's see how these guys get on with 12 minutes remaining. But it is currently Rudolf Nigel out in front by 37 seconds there. As you say, lapped everybody now up to Graham Brown. Graham Brown is now officially a lap down as well. And next on Rudolf Nigel's list is Gary Truby. They are coming round turn 14 and 15 together. And I wouldn't be surprised if that is Truby in front of us. It is. So I'm sure Nigel will get him very, very shortly as well. But Stephen Blaze here. You can see John McCutcheon now. It kind of gives you a different lease of life, Dan, doesn't it? Being able to see the guy in front.
Yeah, it kind of gives you, well, a target to aim at, you know. You can do laps no matter how much you want. That looked like a little bit of a slide from McCutcheon, but if you have a target ahead of you, it's always, or I always find myself going quicker if I have a target ahead of me to aim at.
Yeah, as well. David Waters is in chat actually. He's just corrected me. No, it was Paul Clark I hit. Owning up to hitting Paul Clark. It was Paul Clark, you're right. It was actually Stefan Mellis who had a second bite at Mike Busson, not the two tigers trying to eat the gazelle. So
We both made a mistake.
well, you know,
Because I thought the same as you.
dude, we're human at the end of the day. If I was a robot, it would sound like this, and this commentary would not be very interesting here at all. So,
Depends. You know where they're getting with AI voices. So
well, exactly.
It's quite scary.
Exactly. I love the fact that David Waters has now come back to me and gone, I didn't say it like that. LOL. So I'm sure he didn't. It's just, sorry, David, I'm just giving you grief, my young one, as well. No, you're right. You did say it like that as well. But, you know, hey, Texas can be read in many different ways and different versions and different deceiving voices and different attitudes. Trust me. My wife texts me lots of things, and I'm taking them in anger. And, well, then she turns around and says, no, I was just asking you if you were going to make a cup of tea. I'm like, oh, okay. So, you know, Texas can be taken in many different ways. So, there you go. Never mind. I'm only playing with you, David. It's 10 minutes remaining of a 90-minute race here. And we are trying to get to the end with Place and McHutchison. I'm hoping Place has a good old go. He's got it down to a second now, the man from Canada, over John McHutchison, the William Wallace of Scotland there as well. The interesting thing is that John actually plays bowls for the Scottish national team as well. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know if you've ever seen, but not like 10-pin bowling, like, you know, white ball bowls, grass bowls. Yeah, lawn bowls, I think they call it. So he actually plays for the Scottish national team in bowls.
Yeah, that's cool.
Do you know what bowls I'm on about, Dan?
No. I have no idea.
Blimey, it's like, is it millennials? It's having basically you get a white ball and you throw it down some grass, and then you get big black ones and who've got different colours of red and yellow, and it's whoever's closest to the white ball wins the round.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, and as many points and balls as you get closer than your teammate is the amount of points you get. So if you only get one ball, you get 1 point. I think I'm going to explain that right. Now, John's probably going to message me later and say, no, James, you got it completely wrong. But that's generally what it is.
Do you know what that's called in French?
Is it broadcast friendly? Let's start that one first.
Yes, it is.
Go on then.
Jeu de boule.
Jeu de boule. And what is it in Holland? Because you are Dutch officially.
The same. We pronounce it the French way.
Well, that's just... I always knew the Dutch were thieves, but I didn't know you were thieving other people's language. Hey, but then again, look, we're English over here, and we put 3 words in the same meaning. So, you know, when you're there, and there, and where, and here, there, and everywhere, it makes no difference. Oh, Hutchison's made a mistake! No! He made a mistake coming out 13. John McHutchison there as well. That's a loud place through. Oh, Johnny Hutch. No. He made this mistake. He went in. He's just missed it completely. Ah, John McHutchison there dropped down into 3rd place, missed it completely, and has now dropped back to over a second and a half away from Stephen Place. So unfortunately for him now, he's down in 1.7 behind Place. He's about 7 seconds ahead of Damien G though, so that's always a good thing. But you know, unfortunately on lap 49, 7 minutes from the end there for John McHutchison, he dropped the ball. So there we go. So we were talking about language before. The English can't say much, mate. We make it as complicated as possible. We try and teach our kids the right language, and we half the adults don't even know it themselves. You know, if you say to somebody, what do you say if that's their item, their possession? It's T-H-E-I-R. But over there it's T-H-E-R-E. You know, it's just ridiculous. We're just like changing the words for no reason. I'm sure we do. You try teaching that to children in years 2 and 3 of school, which are like 6 and 7. It's just like going over the top of their heads. It really is.
Well, no experience with that, so I couldn't tell you. You of course do. But it sounds like being at school again. If I hear you talk about that, I get flashbacks, and I don't like it.
That's the thing with it, right? Is we're there and we're trying to teach things like synonyms and metaphors, and people are like, even adults I'm talking to, can you give me a cinnamon? And they're like, a what? A cinnamon. A what? You know what I mean? They don't know what it is. So
I know what a synonym is,
but places off. He's just I've
oh,
had it
no.
under my ears. He needs to calm it down because the tyres are going to be burning. Where is Hutchinson? He's on our left-hand side. Johnny Hutchinson on our left. Place let it go in turn 1. He dropped it into turn 1. And unfortunately for Stephen Place, it's looking like he didn't want to hold on to that position. It didn't register as an off-track because he didn't quite go far enough out, I don't think. But he definitely dropped it. Place is trying to come back again. Here we go, round turn 5. I see Stephen Place there, flashing his headlights. Probably knows he's on camera. Good old Stephen Place. Doing a stellar job up in 3rd, but he definitely dropped it going into turn 1 there. Oh, no. Damien G's registered an off-track, but he didn't go far enough. I want to try and see if I can get back far enough here. Oh, no, that's after the effect, so unfortunately we're going to be able to get back to that one. But Damien G is still chasing down Stephen Place and John McHutchinson here with about 4.5 minutes remaining.
4.5 minutes remain, just a bit more, and Stephen Place and McHutchinson about a second apart. And if there's something that the past 3 minutes have told us, is that it isn't over till it's over. A mistake is easily made by both of the drivers, and McHutchinson and Place can make them. We've just seen that McHutchinson, of course, made a little bit of a bigger mistake into the last corner and lost second place with that. And Place, of course, just being able to hold on to that second position, had to go around the outside of 6 in order to secure that position again. But both have made a mistake now, so they've got their wake-up call, and let's see who now can hang on the longest here.
I think one of the things is going on at the moment is Stefan Mellis looks like he's having a bit of a torrid time now, and it did look like he's just been off track as well. One of the interesting things about the fact that we got Damien G in 4th, Paul LeMay 5th, and Gary Truby 10th is Radsport Sim Racing and Two Brothers Racing are battling it out in the AM Championship. The fact that Truby is ahead of Michael LeMay is giving him the fact that obviously it's Radsports that's going to score more points. One of the interesting things we are looking at right about now is the new tyres of Kettle Larson look like they're going to be outdoing the very old tyres of Damien G here as we're coming in to the last 3 minutes down.
Into the last 3 minutes, 2 battles at the moment within half a second, and Damien G. Larson is one of them. Place McHutchinson for P2 is another one. Damien G on old tyres, Larson on newer tyres. Remember, Larson was ahead of Damien G, so if he doesn't get ahead, that, well, call to take new tyres was not a good call. He's close to getting ahead of Damien G, but to be honest here, James, he doesn't seem to have a considerable amount of overspeed over Damien G in order to try and get the better exit out of turn 15 to try and get back past Damien G here. He might be able to try something on the braking next lap, but yeah, Damien G looking to hang on here with old tyres.
Yeah, he is, but I'm just wondering whether or not his old tyres are probably not going to be doing him any favours about now. Keeping the eye on the time, in about 1:40 to get another lap in. I think Miguel is going to have one and one more. So Damien G is going to hang on to his boots for at least 2 laps. But I don't think I would switch to the leader going across the line, but we're on 2 minutes 2. So there is definitely going to be one and one more as he's going across the line. Damien G now is going to be hanging on from Kettle Larson, I think, here, Dan. And he's looking like he's struggling. Does look like he's struggling this late on.
This is going to be a very long 2 laps for Damien G. Kettle Larson is within 2 tenths now. He's going to have to go defensive as Damien G, otherwise Kettle Larson is going to go for it. He's going to break into turn 10. They both get to the apex. Damien G, though, just a little bit quicker than Larson. No matter what Larson is trying at the moment, it is not working. The newer tires are helping him to stay close to Damien G, but they're not helping him overtake Damien G. And that is just courtesy of this track being so difficult to overtake on. No real braking zones after a long straight here. The best opportunity now for Larson is going to be down into turn 1 with the better exit with those new tires. Out of turn 15. We're going to see it here. The gap is 2/10 over Damien G. Damien G swerving a little bit down the straight to try and break that toe. Larson is going to go for it down into turn 1, and that is position done for Larson. And he gets it done with 2 laps remaining. Damien G back down into P5, but still, no matter what is going to happen, I think Damien G will take that victory in the AM class, because something ridiculous has to happen to Damien G in order for him to lose the 14.2 seconds he has back to Paul LeMay in the AM class.
Yeah, as we can see, Rudolf Nagel is just coming literally up to 8th place here. That's Dennis Kiriakopoulos to lap him. And they're going to take the white flag here as well this evening. So Rudolf Nagel, final lap of the race. Dennis Kiriakopoulos does move over and allows him through. Mike Busson is a little bit further up the field there as well, not to get, basically shouldn't get lapped by Nagel, but Nagel is coming around to complete the last final, or just the last lap of the race. John McCutcheon still in third, chasing down Stephen Place. I think that's going to be settled and done and dusted. I'm probably wondering if that's got something to do with the fact that John knows that the good thing about John is when he's not in the championship hunt, he won't try and put himself in it. And not as in he's not going to give the championship a go, but the fact that Stephen Place is above John McCutcheon by about 60, nearly 60 points. I don't think John's going to be trying. I think John's here, he'll give it a go, but I don't think he's going to put overly much effort on to Stephen Place to try and take that position away, being that he is a little bit further down. John's a great team player, so from that point of view, I think it's probably good that Stephen Place is ahead. Rudolf Nagel is coming around currently turn 12 before we go off around turn 13. Here he comes down. You can't say anything wrong, can you?
No. Rudolf Nagel has done everything he could. 51 seconds is the gap. Gonna be in the end. Rounding off the last corner, it's gonna be Rudolf Nagel taking his 5th victory of the season across the line. There he goes. What a victory for Rudolf Nagel. 51 seconds over this man in second, Stephen Place.
Yeah, Kiriakopoulos has not been finished, sorry. He has finished at the same time, partly because you obviously just saw that Nagel lapped Kiriakopoulos at the end. Stephen Place is coming all the way into turn 10. It just goes to show how much of a gap, you know, Nagel opened up here, because it's been absolutely exponential gap over Stephen Place. Stephen Place still not coming round. Place is literally into turn 12, round 13, into 15, 14, right hander of 15. He's going to come across the line there as well, he looks. And he is going to take the checkered flag, and what an absolute stellar job from Stephen Place. John McCutcheon going to come across the line in third. Kettle Larson, Damien G. Is he going to allow G through? He is. G's like, nope. No. No, not that way. Not that way. It happens on track. Kettle Larson and Damien G coming across the line out as well. Paul LeMay coming over there. Mike Busson finishing off. Melis Cascado Robinson has also done. We're just waiting for Busson and Mike LeMay. Busson is in 7th here. Surprised he didn't have his other livery on. Not a happy bunny with Mike Busson. Maybe I'll drop him a message and say, oi, team livery, sunshine, team livery. But we've also had Paul Clark has finished as well, as he's done an absolute stellar job. Now I'm hoping that these work, Dan. I really am. So there we go.
Well, let's hope they do.
There
they are. There are results of round 8 from Barcelona, Catalunya in Spain. Rudolf Nagel takes a dominant victory over Stephen Place. 52 seconds in the end for Rudolf Nagel. His 5th victory of this season, and we're only at round 8. So I think that is, that shows you how dominant he's been this season and how well he's been turning those laps. Stephen plays in second, like I said, ahead of John McHutchinson. Both Team Redline cars on the podium. Kjetil Larsen for IGL Coding in P4, 1 minute 3 back from the leader. That is a lot. Damien G, the winner of the AM class. Paul LeMay in 6th, but 2nd in the AM class. Mike Bruce on 7th. Dennis Kiriakopoulou is in 8th. Paul Clark in 9th. Gary Truby finishing down in 10th. Quite a foray behind Paul LeMay, but still finishing 3rd in the AM class. So he can be happy with a podium there. Graham Brown in 11th. 12th, Michael LeMay. 13th, Stefan Mellis. Daniela Cascado, 14th. 15th, Guy Robertson. 16th, David Walters. 17th, David Wollaston. Daniel Sedgley, Sandro Capella, and Lucas Dolter, all not finishing this race in 18th, 19th, and 20th, respectively.
Yeah, we're going to bring in John McHutchinson into the booth this evening, have a chat with John and see how his race went. Good evening, John. How are you, young sir?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good race?
I didn't know. It was one of the ones I thought I had the pace to keep up with Rudolph, but I think I was kidding myself on. Once you get by, I just took off and couldn't keep up. I don't know what he's got in that car, but it's an awesome setup he's got.
Yeah, he was flying, wasn't he? Absolutely flying here. And it as you say, it kind of looked like once he got past you, it was kind of done and dusted. You know, you still got third place. Did you push Stephen Place to the limit at the end of that race there, John, or did you think, well, you know, you can go have it, son?
I didn't have any more pace at the end, James. I tried to conserve the tyres at the start, the first 10, 15 laps, but I just didn't have any more pace in the car. I don't know if the tyres were too cold or what, but no, that was everything I had, and Stephen drove a great race, up 11 places, I see.
Did you change tyres?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I don't think.
Kjetil Larsen did. I think basically what we were looking at is people with over a minute pit stops had changed tyres. Everyone round about the 40-second mark probably hadn't. The thing is with Kjetil Larsen, he was coming on strong at the end there as well. So he did an absolute stellar job. But, you know, John, we're going into Red Bull Ring on the 5th of February. Different entity here, short track, opportunities, yes, but dangerous ones at the best, and off tracks are going to be a massive part there. What do we think for yourself in Red Bull? Do you think you got an opportunity to give it a good old go and take the win?
If Riddle keeps that pace up, no, but I'll give it a go. Red Bull Ring's a fun track to drive on. Lots of good fast corners, which I like. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be a good one there, mate, as well. And thank you so much, as always, for joining me in the booth. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to this evening?
Oh, shout out to Stephen Place. That was an absolutely brilliant drive. And I shared my setup with him about half an hour before the race, so he utilised it better than I did. So well done to him.
Did an absolute stellar job. But John, congratulations on your third place there, buddy. And we look forward to seeing you at the Red Bull Ring.
Thanks, James.
Take care. Right, we are going to jump to the victor of this evening's race, Rudolf Nagel. Rudolf, good evening. How are you, sir?
Good evening. I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm very well. I've just seen you dominate, lap everybody up to 7th place, leave everybody with their mouths open, jaws dropped. John McHutchinson even sitting there going, I don't know what Rudolph's got in that setup, but whatever he's got, he's utilising and being amazing in it. You know, what can we say? You tell us, Rudolph, how was your race?
I think I practice only long runs and see what the tires make after 20 laps, and I try to manage it in the practice, and it feels good. And so at the beginning I save fuel and tires, and I see John have problems with the rear end after 10 laps, 12 laps. Then I I go and push 10 laps. Then I see I can make a big gap, and then I manage the tire to the end. No problem.
Wow. Well, Rudolph, it was absolutely dominant. Nobody had an answer whatsoever there as well. On to the Red Bull Ring. John said he's going to give it a go, but if you keep showing the pace that you've shown, that was your 5th victory this evening. I don't think anybody's really going to get near you in conjunction with the championship. I think you're dominating enough to really probably seal the championship before we go into the last round at the Nordschleife.
Yeah. I hope so. I'm not good at the Nordschleife.
Well, you seem pretty good everywhere else, Rudolph, to be honest. How are you at the Red Bull Ring?
I don't know. I don't have a race at there, so I don't know.
Wow.
But I think I can go for the top places, but I don't know. So I think Spain was the best track for me. These corners I like these corners. You have to manage the rear end from the beginning, and that's I'm strong in these races.
Well, you definitely seem it, Rudolph, there as well. So thank you so much for joining us in the booth. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to this evening before we let you go? Rudolph?
Yeah, what?
Did you want to give a shout out to anyone before you left the booth?
Yeah, I want say to my wife and my son, I love you. Is a good wife. He let me practice much time. Yeah.
Good, awesome stuff. Well, look forward to maybe having a chat with you at the Red Bull Ring in 2 weeks' time, Rudolph. But for now, you take care, buddy.
Thank you.
Okay. We are back now. There we are. Me and Dan back on the camera. John, he said it himself. That was everything he had. He didn't have nothing left in the car. He couldn't deliver, couldn't go any faster. But Rudolph's almost like the opposite. He's like, I've still got more if I need to because I've done so much tyre saving and everything else as the race has gone on. Are they all in trouble from Rudolph Nagel?
Yes. Yes, you would say so, because that man today, 52 seconds he had in the end. It's almost unheard of in all the other races. 52 seconds is a lot of time, and it just shows you how quick he is. And it looked like he did it just with ease. He just drove his laps, managed his tires and their fuel, and just drove 52 seconds ahead of the whole field.
Yeah, I think that was his biggest thing. He literally dominated it. Whatever he's got, he is absolutely making the full blow most of what he's got there in that SR10. And he's just dominating the season. We'll have to look at trying to tally up some of the scores to see how close or how far he is away from winning, because I don't think this is going to do himself any harm in possibly taking the championship early on, because I don't think if he carries on like this, come the Nordschleife, it ain't going to matter. It doesn't matter where Rudolph Nagel is. I think from that point of view, if he has another dominant victory at the Red Bull Ring, I've got a funny feeling he might even be done by Silverstone before the second to last race. And then that way it is done. We will be crowning a champion, and it will be looking like Rudolph Nagel. But in the meantime, Stephen Place was up 11 places. He's another man that had an absolutely stellar race here again as well, Dan.
Yeah, he did. Also, of course, had a really good start, I think. If I remember correctly, not a brilliant one, just a good one. Gained a few positions at the start, and after that, just kept continuing to gain those positions. The pit stops were a really important phase for Stephen Place, because that's where he won, I think, most of his positions with the pit stops. Also, a man who came back from a lot of places down was Kyriakopoulos. And even though he's only in 8th with 3 positions up, he was all the way down in 17th at some point in this race, had to climb all the way back up, and is now in 8th, gained 3 positions on where he was. So that's just, showing again that if you just do not give up, you keep pushing, you keep putting in those lap times, eventually you'll get back to where you are.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we need to give a shout out to Damien G. He drove a stellar race. Was up in third at one point. If he had the tyres at the end, I don't doubt that he would have held Kettle Larson. It just clearly showed that Larson changing tyres there had more grip at the end of the race than G had. He did an absolute stellar job. Took the AM victory as well. And I've just got a funny feeling that, there's going to be big moves from Damien G as the season goes on. He's got still 3 more races left, and, he's pushing on, his G, and I think that's going to be one of the things we have got to be looking out for is Damien G making moves there, Dan, as well. But I think from us, Dan, I think it's just been another stellar job. A few words from you about the race just before we leave?
Interesting strategy game, this race, of course.
Mm-hmm.
We saw some pitters that took tires, of course, the track. Like I said in the race, it's so demanding on tires, and people took advantage of that. We saw it with Kettle Larson overtaking Damien G in the end. The gap was back to where it was, so he actually didn't gain technically anything with his pit stop. So did it work? Did it not? We don't really know. But as I said, it's so difficult to say. But interesting to see different strategies play out this time on this very high tire demanding track. And I think just overall, it was, once again, a great spectacle put up by the drivers.
It was definitely as well, guys. So don't forget as well, you can be amazing if you can subscribe, turn on the bells, and obviously give the video a big up, thumbs up. That would be absolutely incredible.
Almost at 500.
Almost at 500, yes we are. Don't forget as well about the Instagram giveaway going along on the JPB Instagram. Share, like, and follow JPB to be in with a chance of £50 worth of iRacing dollars. That will be given away once we hit 300. I know Dan's entered there as well. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work if Dan wins. We're going to stick them all in a spinny wheel, press the button, and if it spins around and Dan wins, well, we could be in trouble. But, unfortunately, it's not going to be fixed. But get yourselves involved in that one as well. But for now, guys, I think it's time to say goodnight from myself and Dan Peoples. But as always, take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on a track sometime. Good night.
Good night.